Why 99% of Americans will never build real wealth. That is not an opinion. That is a math problem. And if you are watching this, chances are you have already felt it. That quiet, uncomfortable feeling when you check your bank account after a long week of work. The feeling that no matter how much you earn, you are always exactly 3 bad weeks away from disaster. Today, we are going to tear down the biggest lie in American personal finance. A lie repeated by newspapers, television anchors, and even your retired neighbor who bought his house in 1995 for the price of a used car. The lie is simple. The lie says that wealth is the same as a high net worth number on a screen. But once you understand how the American middle class actually builds wealth, or fails to build it, you will never look at your home, your paycheck, or your future the same way again. Let us start with the number that everyone loves to repeat. At the end of 2025, the total net worth of all American households reached roughly $167 trillion. That is a number so large the human brain cannot process it. If you stacked that in $100 bills, the pile would reach past the moon, loop around the earth, and still leave change. And the headlines are obsessed with this number. American household wealth hits an all-time high. The average American is wealthier than ever. A record number of millionaires now live in the United States. Open any financial news website and it sounds like everyone is driving a new German sedan while sipping champagne on a Florida balcony. But then you close the laptop, you put the phone down, and you look at your own reality. The checking account with maybe $800 in it. The credit card balance you have been promising to kill for 6 months. The $400 you still owe your friend for that car repair in October. And a very quiet, very dangerous question starts to form in the back of your mind. If the country is so stupidly wealthy, why does it feel like you are drowning? The answer is brutal, and it starts with a single word: housing. According to the Federal Reserve's Survey of Consumer Finances, there are approximately 22 million millionaires in the United States today. That sounds incredible. Roughly 8% of all American adults are technically millionaires. 1 in every 12 people you pass on the street, on paper, has a net worth of $1 million or higher. More millionaires than any country in the history of the planet. America wins again. But here is where it gets uncomfortable. That number includes the value of the primary residence. Every single dollar of equity locked inside the drywall, the roof shingles, the granite countertops, the backyard fence, it all counts. Now watch what happens when we strip the house away. The Capgemini World Wealth Report measures something different. They count only investable assets: stocks, bonds, cash, retirement accounts, business equity, everything except the home you sleep in. By that stricter measure, the number of Americans with $1 million or more in liquid, accessible, spendable wealth collapses to roughly 4.5 million people. Read that again. When you remove the house, the number of American millionaires drops by nearly 80%. 22 million paper millionaires become fewer than 5 million real ones. The country of private jets and yacht clubs suddenly looks very, very different. So where is all this so-called wealth hiding? Let us open the national balance sheet. At the end of 2025, American households held roughly $60 trillion in financial assets. That includes everything from pension funds and mutual funds to savings accounts and publicly traded stocks. But here is the number that should terrify you. American households also held approximately $43 trillion in residential real estate alone. That is one single asset class. Bricks and mortar, representing nearly 40% of total household assets. Now let us zoom in on a typical American family. Not the top 1%, not the bottom 10%. The median household that makes roughly $75,000 per year. The average American household has approximately $65,000 in their retirement accounts. That is the combined total across all 401ks, IRAs, and pension plans. The typical American has roughly $8,000 in their savings account, and nearly 1 in 4 American adults has zero emergency savings whatsoever. Meanwhile, the average home equity for a baby boomer household is over $300,000. For Generation X, it is roughly $250,000. The math is painfully simple. For the vast majority of American millionaires, the house is not just their biggest asset. It is their only meaningful asset. Strip the roof away, and the millionaire vanishes. Let me introduce you to someone. She does not have a name, but you know her. Maybe you are married to her. Or maybe you are hers. She is 57 years old. She lives in a 3-bedroom ranch house in a suburb of Phoenix, Arizona. She and her husband bought the home in 2008 for $220,000. Today, that home is assessed at $680,000. On paper, she is a millionaire if you add up everything else. But here is her Tuesday night. She is sitting at her kitchen table with a calculator. The property tax bill just arrived. $6,400 this year. The air conditioning unit needs replacement. That is $7,000. Her daughter's college tuition payment is due in 2 weeks. Her checking account has $1,400 in it. She cannot sell the house. Where would she live? She cannot borrow against it without adding more debt to a balance sheet that already carries a $190,000 mortgage. She can see her millionaire status on a net worth calculator on her phone, but she cannot buy groceries with it. She cannot fix her car with it. She cannot retire on it. This is what economists call asset rich, cash poor, and in America it is not an exception, it is the rules. The Federal Reserve recently found that more than 37% of American homeowners say they would struggle to come up with $400 in cash for an emergency. $400. And these are the same people the headlines call millionaires. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. If your net worth is almost entirely tied up in the place you live, are you actually wealthy? Or are you just living inside an expensive trap? Now, is this a uniquely American problem? No. But America has made it worse than almost anywhere else. Let us look at how other wealthy nations structure their household balance sheets. In Switzerland, about 54% of gross private wealth sits in non-financial assets like real estate. But the Swiss pension system forces citizens to accumulate liquid, portable wealth outside their homes. The average Swiss household holds over $180,000 in pure cash and bank deposits. In Singapore, roughly 41% of household wealth is in property, very similar to America. But here is the difference. Nearly 40% of Singaporean household wealth is held in cash, deposits, and mandatory savings accounts that are low risk and easily accessible. The average Singaporean household has a massive financial cushion sitting underneath the roofs. Now let us look at the United States. Over 40% of household assets locked in residential real estate. Meanwhile, the median American household has less than $8,000 in their savings accounts. The median 401k balance for a family approaching retirement is roughly $134,000. That is not even close to $1 million. And our household debt-to-income ratio has sat above 100% for over a decade. For every dollar of after-tax income, the average American owes $1.40. We have become a nation of homeowners who feel wealthy while sitting on enormous mortgages with terrifyingly thin liquid reserves. The house makes you look rich on paper. The bank account tells the real stories. So who are the Americans who actually have $1 million or more that they can touch, move, and deploy at will? I spent weeks studying the Federal Reserve data and the Capgemini reports, and three patterns emerge over and over again. These are not secrets. They are not complicated investment strategies. They are boring, and that is exactly why they work. Pattern number 1. Consistent budgeting. This sounds painfully dull. That is the point. The liquid millionaires in America are not the ones who made one brilliant bet on a tech stock in 2020. They are the ones who tracked every dollar every month for 20 or 30 years. They knew exactly what they spent on groceries. They knew their subscription costs, they knew their utility bills, and most importantly, they knew exactly how much surplus income they had after every single paycheck, and they directed that surplus somewhere intentional. Budgeting is not about restriction. It is about awareness. You cannot build liquid wealth if you do not know where your money is leaking. The house-rich, cash-poor American almost never has a budget. The money comes in, the mortgage goes out, and whatever is left over just kind of disappears into restaurants, Amazon, and 100 small subscriptions they forgot they had. There is no surplus. There is no system. There is only an expensive roof and a lot of anxiety. Pattern number 2. Frequent automated investing. The IRS data shows that only about 40% of American tax filers contribute to an IRA or a 401k in any given year. That means the majority of working adults are not putting a single dollar into a retirement account for years at a time. The liquid millionaires do the opposite. They contribute every single month, not large amounts necessarily. The median 401k contribution in 2024 was roughly $300 per month. That is not a fortune. But they do it automatically. They treat it like a bill. The same way the mortgage gets paid, the investment account gets paid. And here is the critical piece. They invest that money. They do not let it sit in cash earning nothing. They buy index funds, dividend-paying stocks, or balanced target date funds, and they let compound growth do the work over 2- and 3-decade time horizons. The difference between someone who saves $300 per month for 30 years and someone who saves nothing is not small. It is generational. At a modest 7% return, that $300 per month becomes over $350,000, not from genius investing, from automatic discipline. Pattern number 3, aggressive debt elimination. American household debt just crossed $17 trillion. Mortgages make up over 70% of that figure. But the real killer is consumer debt. Credit cards, auto loans, personal loans. The average American household carries over $8,000 in credit card debt alone, at interest rates that often exceed 20%. The liquid millionaires attack debt with the same discipline they bring to investing. They pay off high-interest consumer debt first. They accelerate mortgage payments when they can. They refuse to borrow against their home equity for lifestyle spending. No new kitchen on borrowed money, no finance boat, no vacation on a credit card. They understand a very simple equation. Every dollar you pay in interest is a dollar that is not compounding in your retirement account. Every dollar of interest is working against you instead of for you. And here is the most important insight they all share. They do not view the house as their retirement plan. They view the house as a place to live. That is all. Their retirement is built separately in liquid, accessible, diversified accounts that they control completely. The house is the backup, not the main event. Let us return to where we started, $167 trillion in total American household wealth. It is a staggering number. It is real. But it is also deeply misleading, because it counts the value of something most people will never sell, cannot easily access, and should never depend on for their financial survivals. The real question is not what is your net worth. The real question is this. If you needed $50,000 in 30 days, could you get it without selling your home? For 22 million Americans, the answer on paper is yes, because they are technically millionaires. But for nearly 80% of them, the honest answer is no. Their wealth is locked inside the walls. It lives in a Zillow estimate, not in a brokerage account. It looks like freedom on a spreadsheet and feels like a trap in real life. The shift that separates the truly wealthy from the merely house rich is a mindset change. It is the decision to stop measuring wealth by the number on your home appraisal and start measuring it by what your money can actually do for you tomorrow. Can it cover an emergency without borrowing? Can it generate income while you sleep? Can it survive a housing market crash without your entire life falling apart? That is liquid wealth. That is real wealth. And in a country where the average home now costs more than most people will earn in an entire decade, it has never been more important to know the difference. Start a budget tonight. Start an automatic investment next week. Start attacking your consumer debt this month, not because some video told you to, but because the gap between the millionaire you appear to be and the millionaire you actually are might be the most important number in your entire financial life. If you learned something real from this, hit the subscribe button.